Hey YouTube, welcome to the Red Streets of Capenna New Capenna set review. We're going to do all the red cards in this one, finish up in the next video in green, and be done and ready for the pre-release this weekend, which I'm not going to because the world. Let's start with Antagonize. Antagonize is 1 and a red for an instant at common. Target creature gets +4/+3 until end of turn. Kind of a ludicrous amount of power and toughness there, but it's still just a combat trick. So wheel it, and if you have a spot, okay. And if you don't, also okay. It's just a combat trick. Up next is Arcane Bombardment. Arcane Bombardment is 4 red for an enchantment at Mythic. Whenever you cast your first instant or sorcery each turn, exile an instant or sorcery card at random from your graveyard. Then copy each card exiled with Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of those copies without paying their mana costs. No. Can already tell it's an F. Obviously, the intention here, the play pattern is you cast an instant or sorcery and then you exile one and then you copy it. Cool, you've cast 2 spells for 1. But then next turn you cast another instant or sorcery and then you can exile another random one, maybe the one that you just cast if it's the only one there, and then you cast the 2 spells that you've exiled so far, so you're casting 3 for 1, but none of that's happening in limited for 6 mana. You're dead if you play this. It's an F in limited. Commander crap for commander crud. Up next is Big Score. Big Score is 3 and a red for an instant at common. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, and create 2 treasure tokens. Is this a renamed functional reprint? Did we have draw 2, make 2 treasures, discard a card to do so from Ixalan? We had something very similar. Yeah, this is decent. Like discarding a card to draw 2, we're used to that. That's, you know, all those various 2-mana spells that we've had. Pirate's Pillage. Yeah, it's literally Pirate's Pillage, except it's instant, not sorcery. Cool. Yeah, Pirate's Pillage was playable as a sorcery. This is apt to be pretty playable here as well. Not a high pick. We're still talking 8th pick, wheel even, but it's great to draw cards. Red always wants to get its hands on cards. Treasure to fix or ramp. Even the discard could have some value to it. Instant AFR. There was an AFR one too. Yeah, wasn't there? Yeah, I think this is pretty playable. I'm thinking of the instant and AFR. I can remember the art. It was actually very similar art to this. The color scheme was similar. Something windfall, maybe. Yeah, probably quite playable as we saw in AFR. So 8th pick wheel, but playable. Unexpected windfall. But it was 2 red. Call in a professional. 2 and a red for an instant at uncommon. Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Call in a professional, deals 3 damage to any target. Okay, so it's open fire. It's open fire with a little bit of probably flavor text on it. Shield counters don't prevent this damage as they're removed. Okay, so shield counters do prevent damage. Unless this is like a specific exception. Yeah, this is open fire with a couple of cute little things. You'll play an open fire. Used to be common for open fire. Now it's uncommon because of all the extra words on there. But you'll always play it, and you'll pick this in like the 4th, 5th pick range. I'm always a fan for instant speed, 3 damage. Got it. Up next is Daring Escape. Daring Escape is a single red mana for an instant at common. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains first strike until it turns. Scry 1. So it's Kindled Fury with a scry attached to it. Not terribly playable. I prefer a bigger power. I prefer like Sure Strike for 2 mana. You can wheel this. You can play it if you really want to, if you have a spot, but don't go out of your way. Up next is Devilish Valet. Devilish Valet is 2 and a red for a creature, Devil Warrior at rare. It's a 1/3 with trample and haste. It has, I believe, the 2nd instance of Alliance that we have ever seen in the entire set. Is that the case? Third instance of Alliance. Oh, there's more Alliance in green. Okay. I was wondering where the heck this entire mechanic was. So Alliance, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, double its power until end of turn. So it becomes a 2/3. This is a rare, eh? Yeah, this requires you to do stuff to it. This requires you to put counters on it and auras on it and do stuff to it and have devil lords and warrior lords and etc. I don't even think it's playable. It's mildly playable. Maybe if you're putting in like some equipment or something, you can see he's being handed a hammer. But this is powerfully not the rare that I want to open. I think you can probably wheel this, I think. Yeah, pretty mediocre. Up next is Exhibition Magician. Exhibition Magician is fun to say. It's 2 and a red for a creature, human, wizard at common. It's a 2/1 when Nope, not fun to say anymore. When Exhibition Magician enters the battlefield, choose one. Create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token or create a treasure token. 3 mana for a 2/1 to make a treasure feels bad. Feels like there's better creatures and there's better treasure makers. 3 mana 2/1 to make a 1/1 feels okay. It's a very relevant creature type in red, which is Naya citizens. This is okay, but it's filler. It's in like the 7th, 8th pick range. I don't think you have to go out of your way for it. Up next is Glittering Stockpile. Glittering Stockpile is 2 and a red for an artifact treasure at uncommon. Tap to add red. Put a stash counter on Glittering Stockpile. Tap, sacrifice Glittering Stockpile. Add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of stash counters on Glittering Stockpile. Interesting. So treasures don't inherently have tap, sack, make a mana of any color. I thought that was inherent to treasures, but apparently not. So it is a mana rock that only taps for the color that it already makes, which is not great. But then, yeah, you mana battery. So you throw mana, or you throw counters onto it to make a whole bunch more mana. I guess the super cute thing here is that this is mana from a treasure. Yeah, Timber Trannel's there. This is mana from a treasure. There's those cards that want mana spent from a treasure. This is from a treasure. If you are not explicitly doing that, I don't think I want to play this card. But if you're explicitly doing that, well, this card has a lot more value. So this is like a... This has got to be like a 6th through 8th pick. And I think you actually just don't pick this pack 1 unless you've already picked up a number of things to get you into the treasure carrying deck. But then this is a reward in pack 2 and pack 3. Up next is Goldhound. Goldhound is a single red mana for an artifact creature treasure dog at common. It's a 1/1 with first strike and menace. Tap, sack, add 1 mana of any color. I do not like this. I don't like 1/1s for 1. I don't care that it has first strike. That doesn't mean anything on a 1/1. I don't care that it has menace. That doesn't mean anything on a 1/1. I don't care that it's a 1 mana treasure. There's better ways of making treasure. This dog is bad. I'm not playing this dog. F. Up next is Horde Hauler. Horde Hauler is 3 and a red for an artifact vehicle. At rare, it's a 5/5 with trample. Whenever Horde Hauler deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token for each artifact they control. Combat damage to a player, create a treasure token for each artifact they control? Because it's a Horde Hauler. Haha, I get it. Crew 3 is rough. I'm not super interested in a Crew 3. You can't snap your fingers and have your opponent have a bunch of artifacts. So this is probably just a 5/5 trample. No interest. I don't want to play this. I think it's just an F. I'm not playing it. Up next is Involuntary Employment. Involuntary Employment is 3 and a red for a sorcery at uncommon. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Create a treasure token. So here's our threaten effect. We have sack outlets, which is nice, so you can steal and sack. I still have yet to see, and we're in red now, I've yet to see the sack payoff. There's the single uncommon that once will deal 2 damage. Not great. Not great. But there's sack outlets, which means that we can still just steal and sack should we so desire. But realistically, I think this is a wheel. I think there's going to be probably one person max at the table who wants it, and they should be able to get it. Up next is Jackhammer. Jackhammer is 1 and a red for an artifact equipment at common. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Equip for 2. That doesn't do enough. That doesn't do anything. Bone Splitter was what? 1 mana to cast, 1 mana to equip? 1 mana to cast, 1 mana to equip. It wasn't colored. Yeah, this is a really bad Bone Splitter. I'm not playing this. F for Jackhammer. Play better cards. Up next is Jaxus the Troublemaker. Jaxus the Troublemaker is 3 and a red for a legendary creature, human warrior at rare. It's a 2/3. Pay red, tap, discard a card, create a token that's a copy of another target creature you control. It gains haste, and when this creature dies, draw a card. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step, activate only as a sorcery. So basically, every creature on your board has blitz for a single red and discard a card, which is really cool. And Jaxus herself has blitz for 1 and a red. Jaxus is just all around good. Like, I'm happy to blitz this. I'm happy to cast this. First pick. Really good card. Not a bomb. This isn't just winning you the game, but it's a really good card. It'll be the first pick out of many of the packs. Up next is Light 'em Up. Light 'em Up is 1 and a red for a sorcery at common. Casualty 2. Light 'em Up deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Sorcery, eh? Sorcery. I mean, you'll play maybe it. What are we looking at for natural natural X2s in this format? Toughness less than 3. 0 cards. That's obviously not correct. 57. 57 natural 2 or 1 power creatures. You play this. Casualty 2 feels like an extraordinarily real cost just to get this up to 4 damage. But if you have to, you have to. So I think you play this, but I think this is a definitive step down. I think we're in 6th through 8th pick range for this. And I don't think I want a bunch of them. I think I'm probably happy with the first, and I think they go down a little bit from there. Up next is Mayhem Patrol. Mayhem Patrol is 1 and a red for a creature Devil Warrior at common. It's a 1/2 with Menace. Whenever Mayhem Patrol attacks, target creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. That could be itself. Blitz, 1 and a red. I would probably prefer to always blitz this, I think. I would basically always prefer this to be 2 damage from Menace that they didn't realize was coming, and then I draw a card. Because it's going to be much harder for this to get in ever again after that first surprise haste turn. Pretty filler. We're in like the 7th, 8th wheel range. You can probably get these if you want these, and I don't think you're going out of your way to want these, but I think at least the first one is okay. Up next is Plasma Jockey. Plasma Jockey is 3 and a red for a creature via Sheena Warrior at common. It's a 3/1. When it attacks, target creature and opponent controls can't block this turn. Ooh, Goblin Heel Cutter. With Blitz for 2 and a red. Goblin Heel Cutter. I don't think this is anywhere near as good as Goblin Heel Cutter. This card that I just linked in chat was insane in Dragons of Tarkir. This one, unfortunately, has Blitz, not Dash, meaning you only get to use it once if you're going to Blitz it out. But you can just play it, and you've got yourself a Goblin Heel Cutter. I think this is going to be good. I think it's going to be better than people might give it credit for if they're not familiar with the Heel Cutter. That said, we're still looking at, like, 6th-ish? Probably no higher than 6. But you will want to play these, and you'll want to play multiples of them. This existing at common, this tells me extraordinarily fast games can happen. Up next is Professional Facebreaker. Professional Facebreaker is 2 and a red for a creature human warrior at rare. It's a 2/3 with Menace. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Sacrifice a treasure, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. 2/3 menace for 3. Whenever anybody deals combat damage to a player, whenever anybody, meaning one of your creatures, make a treasure. Sack a treasure, red to draw a card. Cool. That's all good words. Again, it's another case of I don't really want this to be my rare, but it's good. Like second pick. It's a little bit win more, although it's yet another of these creatures where its trigger doesn't care about it attacking and doesn't care about it dealing damage, which is a really interesting design of this set. Almost all the creatures just care about somebody attacking or somebody dealing damage, not necessarily that creature themselves. But yeah, this is a good card. I'm on like second pick. It's not like the game's not being busted wide open. You're not winning the game because you played this card, but it's very, very, very good. So second pick for Professional Facebreaker. Up next is Pugnacious Pugilist. Pugnacious Pugilist is 3 red for a creature ogre warrior at uncommon. It's a 4/4. Whenever Pugnacious Pugilist attacks, create a tapped and attacking 1/1 red devil creature token with, when this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. So 4/4 for 5. Not great. Attacks, it attacks with a devil. Cool. Blitz for 4. Cool. This is good. I think I'm probably preferring to 5-drop this more than I am blitzing it. But of course, there's just going to be situations where that blitz is like, well, stupid opponent attacked me. Guess they're going to take 5, and I'm going to draw a card. Yeah, good card's good. I'm on like a 4th, 5th pick here, probably 5th-ish pick. Blitz, I think, is going to ruin a lot of people's plans of like casting the Obscura Ascendancy and slowly ticking your way up the souls, and then oops, you took 1 billion damage that you didn't expect from hasty blitzers. You're dead. We'll see. Up next is Pire, Sledge, Arsonist. Pire, Sledge, Arsonist is 2 and a red for a creature via Shino Shaman at uncommon. It's a 2/2. Pay 1, tap. Pire, Sledge, Arsonist deals X damage to any target where X is the number of permanents you've sacrificed this turn. Okay. So this is the payoff for sacking stuff? So we have to... It counts treasures. But generally we're going to have to be paying to sack stuff. And then also have 1, and then we can do X to any target, which includes face. This has to be the payoff, yeah, and some amount of it has to be treasures, right? Like, you're probably not... I mean, what was it? It was a common or an uncommon that had red-black, sack a creature. Although I feel like that one might even have been once a turn. There's the rare, which is 1 mana, sack a creature. There's casualty. There's treasures. This is interesting. It feels like there's a lot of work to make this go off. It needs to be a shock a decent amount of the time. Well, all it needs to be is a lava axe to their face. You know, like if you have a way of sacking like 5 treasures and then oops, you take 5 to the face, you can just end games here. Like this can do a Zenith Flare impression, kind of. Or a Dragon Spark Reactor impression. This can be an oops, you're dead. It's just a very vulnerable 2/2, and your opponent knows probably long before it's going to happen that all they have to do is somehow deal with a 2/2. So we'll see. I think this is the payoff. I think this is what you want. But I don't know if it's good enough. So you're going to need to pick this highly if it's what you want to do. Impact 2, Impact 3. Pack 1, I feel like you just kind of let it go and see if you even begin to head towards this direction. But this is one that I'm going to have to really see how it works out. So let's go like 4th, 5th, and I have no clue how it's going to work out. It could be that it's way too cute or that it's just oppressively good. Up next is Ready to Rumble. Ready to Rumble is 4 and a red for a sorcery at common. Choose 1, deals 5 damage to target creature, planeswalker, or destroy target artifact. you might play one of these. It's like, actually, this is almost a reprint, it feels like, of Scorching Fire? No, not Scorching Dragonfire. Dominaria, there was a 3 red Chandra burning card that I think was 5 damage to a creature and destroy an artifact. It might have been instant speed. You'll play one. You can't really justify Fiery Intervention. That was it. You can't really justify playing multiples of these, but you can probably get away with one. It's common. You can 8th pick this. You can maybe even wheel this and get the one that you want to play. Up next is Riveters Initiate. Riveters Initiate is 1 and a red for a creature via Shino Citizen at common. It's a 2/2. Pay 1 and a black or a green. It gets Death Touch until end of turn. Back in my day, if red got a 2/2 for 1 and a red, it had to like deal 2 damage to you every turn as a downside. This is fine. You know, on-demand Death Touch is cool. A 2/2 for 2 is fine. It's not amazing. You can probably wheel this regularly. Maybe 8th pick. You don't have to feel bad playing it, but you're not going out of your way to get it. Up next is Riveters Requisitioner. Riveters Requisitioner is 1 and a red for a creature via Shino Rogue at uncommon. It's a 3/1. When it dies, make a treasure. Blitz, 2 and a red. So 2 and a red, 3/1 haste. When it dies, draw a card, make a treasure. And it has to die that turn. Or it's just a 3/1 for 2. I like 3/1s for 2 a lot. They're my favorite power toughness CMC combination. Cool. Good card's good. This is like, you know, not crazy high because it is just a 3/1. You can't pick a 3/1 that highly, but 6th pick. Some terrible packs if you've already gotten some really good cards, maybe 5th, but 5th, 6th pick for Riveters Requisition. You'll play as many as you can get your hands on. Up next is Rob the Archives. Rob the Archives is 1 and a red for a sorcery at uncommon. Casualty 1. Exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. So this is, oh, this turn. Oh, this turn. Was the one we just had this turn, or was it until end of next turn? I can't remember the card that I'm thinking of, the name. But it was in some set somewhere. One of the Innistrad sets, maybe. So this turn, so you want to hit land, and or you want to hit like, you want to cast this really late. You probably never casualty it. Yeah, nobody remembers the card that I'm thinking of. What set was that in? Was it in Vow? It doesn't feel like it was in Vow. Was it in Mid? Reckless Impulse. That's the card I'm thinking of. Was that until end of turn? Yeah, that was until end of your next turn. This is until end of turn. I like this way less than Reckless Impulse. Like way, 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 way less than Reckless Impulse. Yeah, I'm wheeling this, and I don't know if I'm finding a spot for it. Up next is Sizzling Soloist. Sizzling Soloist is 3 and a red for a creature human citizen at uncommon. It's a 3/2 with Alliance. When another creature enters the battlefield under your control, target creature an opponent controls can't block this turn. If this is the second time this ability is resolved, that creature attacks during its controller's next combat step, if able. So every creature is a Goblin Heel Cutter. There are going to be so many matches with red decks where you're going to be dead before you even know what happened. This card seems real good to me if you want to go hyper aggro. Like 4th pick. This card's ludicrously good. Throw in some citizen token makers so you get 2 or 3. And like, I don't know how you don't win that game. Yeah, you need to know what deck you're in, but this is going to destroy games. Like, anybody who's trying to do anything fun doesn't get to play. Fourth, fifth pick for Sizzling Soloist. Up next is Sticky Fingers. Sticky Fingers is a single red mana for an enchantment aura at common. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has menace, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. When enchanted creature dies, draw a card. I feel like you'll just find better cards. It's nice that it replaces itself. A menace aura can sort of be annoying, and if you do get at least that first treasure token, that's pretty good, but I feel like you can find better cards than this. Wheel it, and I don't know, maybe some super duper hyper aggressive aggro deck is going to love this, but you're going to know if you're in that explicit deck. Up next is Strangle. Strangle is a single red mana for a sorcery at common. Strangle deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Cool. It's sorcery speed. It's going to kill some amount of the format. It doesn't deal with shield counters. No, that doesn't mean removal is bad. I'm sure that the talking heads will say that. But, you know, you're also not spending a massively high pick on this. I doubt I'm ever first picking this, or second or third picking it. But I'll fourth pick the first Strangle. For sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. 3 damage to a creature just seems huge, especially after, like, combat. Like, after combat, you know, my 2-2 hitch, or my 2-3 hitch your 2-4, and then oops, Strangle, it's dead. Would I pick this over murder? Never. Never, ever, ever, ever. Instant speed, unconditional removal. Always over this. Up next is Structural Assault. Structural Assault is 3 red for a sorcery at rare. Destroy all artifacts, then Structural Assault deals damage to each creature equal to the number of artifacts that were put into graveyards from the battlefield this turn. This is terrible. This is terrible. Yes, the whole plan is like you blow up all of your treasures, which I guess you made and didn't want to use in order to wipe the board. This is awful. This is an F. F. There's a lot of board wipes in this format, and one of them's good. Up next is Torch Breath. Torch Breath is X and a red for an instant at uncommon. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a blue permanent. This spell can't be countered. Torch Breath deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker. Well, we don't get Fire Breath. Also, this art is like identical to Play with Devils, or whatever it's called. Play with Devils? Devil's Play? Extremely similar art. Yeah, this is good removal. It doesn't hit face, obviously, so it's not Fireball, but it's whatever that card's called. It's good. You'll play it. It's a relatively high pick, like second, third. Removal's good. This is removal. This will kill basically anything. It's great. Up next is Unlucky Witness. Unlucky Witness is a single red mana for a creature human citizen at uncommon. It's a 1/1. When Unlucky Witness dies, exile the top 2 cards of your library until your next end step. No, that's until your next end step. Well, I guess if it dies on your opponent's turn. You may play one of those cards. This is all fine. It's a citizen. It's going to hopefully draw you 1 card. You can sack it. This is all okay. But I'm not super hyped about it. 6th through 8th pick, I think. And I'm not going out of my way to get it. Our second last... Oh no, tons of red cards left. You Are a Brask. Heretic Creator is 3 red for a legendary creature Phyrexian Praetor at Mythic. It's a 4/4 with haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, the next time they would draw a card this turn, instead they exile the top card of their library. They may play it this turn. So basically, you get to draw a second card each turn, but red draw, and your opponent never gets to draw in their draw step anymore, meaning that any like instant speed effects, they have to cast that turn. Otherwise, it's just gone forever. It's a 4/4 haste for 5. It's all very good. It's a first pick, as is every Phyrexian Praetor. Just wait until we see Elishnorn and Shieldred. Up next is Widespread Thieving. Widespread Thieving is 2 and a red for an enchantment at rare Hideaway 5. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a treasure token. Then you may pay white, blue, black, red, green. If you do, you may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. So are we just going to glaze over the fact that we are definitely playing white, blue, black, red, green to play that card? You didn't pay its mana cost. You just paid 5 mana for it, so I hope it's a 5-drop. This card's terrible. This card is absolutely terrible. This card is like when I've been looking at getting new internet service because the new house can only get fiber and not the company that I've been with for 15 years. And they have a fee where it costs $199 to rent the modem. You pay it once. But because they're so generous, you get a $199.95 credit. That means the fee doesn't exist because everybody gets the credit. The fee doesn't exist. You're not getting this card for free by not paying its mana cost. You're paying white, blue, black, red, green. It's fake. This card's awful. Absolute F. You need treasures for it, but it's hopefully making the treasures, but it's awful. F. Up next is Witty Roastmaster. Witty Roastmaster is 2 and a red for a creature devil citizen at common. It's a 3/2 with Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Witty Roastmaster deals 1 damage to each opponent. That seems like a cool citizen token creation deck payoff. 3/2 for 3, common, which means maybe you can get a second one or a third one, and then every creature is just like ping, 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 ping. That seems cool. It's a pretty low pick. We're talking 7th, 8th range, but I kind of like this as a little bit of a payoff. Even if you just get a few pings, that's damage. That's damage, and damage is good. Up next is Wrecking Crew. This is not a reprint. Again, it's just art that I swear was in Ixalan. I swear there was a guy with a ball. Wrecking Crew is 4 and a red for a creature human warrior at common. It's a 4/5 with reach and trample. This is not a reprint, right? It's not a reprint. Wild. 4/5 reach trample for 5. It's pretty filler. It's got secret reach. You'll pick this quite late. You will not play multiples of these probably, but the first one is acceptable. But 8th pick, wheel, you can get one of these. Don't go out of your way. And that's it for red. YouTube, we'll be back for green in the next video. Let me know anything you want to let me know, and I'll see y'all next time.